Australia is now on the receiving end of its biggest hit to living standards on record. Our economic engine is sputtering as a result of low growth and high government spending. Joining us live now is Labor MP Julian Hill and the Liberal MP Keith Wallachan. Good morning to you both. Julian, I'll start with you today. As Evan Lucas outlined on this program earlier, when looking at per capita GDP, it's now 2 years of households going backwards here. Labor's been in power for all of that time. So why aren't things getting any better?
Well, the national accounts confirm, I think, what most people know. There's a lot of people doing it tough, and growth continues, but it's soft. The economy continues to grow, but slowly. There's three key reasons for that. It's a combination of interest rates weighing down the economy, cost of living pressures which continue, although they are moderating, and there's some pretty positive trends in inflation continuing to come down, and of course global uncertainty. I make the point, and there's some positive aspects as always with these things, sort of ups and downs. Real wages, real household incomes are continuing to grow, and that's because of a combination of price rises moderating, wages continuing to grow, and that's no accident. That's a deliberate design feature of the government's economic management, because we want Australians to earn more and keep more of what they earn, and wages are continuing to grow with no sign of a wage price spiral.
That's one side of the story. Keith, what's the other?
I grew up listening to my parents talk about the recession from the early 90s, and whenever times were tough, they say, "You think that's bad? This is what happened in the early 90s." We now know that this is worse. This is a period where Australians will tell their children and their grandchildren about what it was like economically at this period of time. 7 quarters of GDP per capita negative growth. That's what matters. There's only 2 reasons we're not in a technical recession. One is that this government has cranked migration, and we're both from the state of Victoria, where there's 100,000 people in the MCG. We've had 15 MCGs of growth of people migrating to this country in this term of government. The other is government spending, and Julian gave 3 reasons, and he totally left out government spending. The RBA has told us that that is the reason why inflation is higher for longer and why Australians are suffering. This government doesn't know how to manage money, and Australians are having to make up that by managing theirs, and they're hurting.
Julian, this is a call for the Treasurer, but do you think that the energy rebates should be extended?
I'll just respond to what Keith said then. You want to talk about recession? Australia would be in a deep recession if Peter Dutton and the Liberals had their way. They have opposed every single cost of living measure that the government's put forward. We make no apology for helping people through a cost of living inflation mess that was inherited from the Liberals. I just make that point. You want to talk about migration? Well, maybe Keith and the opposition would like to explain why, in the last fortnight in Parliament, they refused to back the government's international student caps. Right. They cannot go out there on one hand and say, "Oh, we've got a problem with migration," and then point blank refuse to do anything about it. It's a charlatan's magician's trick, and they should be called out for it.
Just on that first point that you said there about things being worse under Peter Dutton, what happened to that argument at the election campaign last time around when you said that things would be better under an Albanese government? There's been a shift there.
Well, inflation is coming down. It's around less than half the peak of the mess we inherited, which is a global phenomenon post-COVID for a whole range of reasons, as we well know and have discussed. But if we want to look at the biggest risk to household budgets, without a shadow of a doubt, it is Peter Dutton and the Liberal government. They would cut all support to households. You don't know that. That's their policy. $315 billion of cuts. You total up the things they've opposed, the things they say they don't support, and that's what it adds up to.
All right.
Cut 36,000 public service jobs. I mean, they're not jobs in Canberra. They're jobs right around the country, doing things like processing veterans' claims. You want to talk about public spending? The majority of the net public demand is states and territories. The biggest single share of the Commonwealth is defence spending. I mean, if Keith and the Liberals actually want to come clean and say they think we should cut defence spending given the geopolitical circumstances, then they should do so.
Okay, well,
it's about time they put forward one single costed policy to make things better instead of smashing household budgets, which is the only thing they've got to say.